for Keller Williams Atlantic Partners. I can't see the chat from where I am. And so if you've got questions, please unmute yourself and shout it out and whatever the question is, and we'll address it then. Also, with any handouts that maybe I have, I think I've got 2 or 3. If you'll send me an email at mike.williams@kw.com, I'll be happy to get those all to you. Okay. So starting over, right? So when I get into real estate, I found out very, very quickly that I could not maintain the level of productivity that I wanted, and I could not reach the level of success that I wanted in real estate unless I focused on listings, right? And I certainly could not have the quality of life that I wanted to have unless I focused on listings, right? You can only work with maybe 4 to 5 buyers at any one time and have any kind of a life, right? Most of your buyers want to look at property on the weekends and at night, right? And so if you're spending every single weekend with one specific buyer, how many more can you add in, right? And so there's 2 ways to go about it. You either get really, really good at selling buyers the first couple of houses that they look at, which is a whole nother class that I'll do, or you figure out how to get listing heavy in order to have some weekends off, right? Because while you can only work with maybe 3, 4, 5 buyers in any given month, right? You show them property, you write a contract, you get under contract, you get a new buyer, you show them property, you negotiate a contract, you write a contract, right? How many times can you do that over the course of 4 weekends in a month? Whereas if you have 15 to 20 listings that you're carrying, then the buyer's agents are out there showing your properties, and you can actually take a Saturday or a Sunday off, or go on a cruise. I've gone on cruises with my wife and my family and gotten 4 offers, right, on different properties while I'm in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, right? You can only do that when you are listing heavy, when you focus on listings, right? So what else does listings do, right? Well, it gives you your life back, right? We just talked about that. The other thing that listings does is listings builds the brand of you, right? And so in this industry, in this business, you are trying to build the brand of you so that people will know you and see you and remember you. And when you're top of mind with people, that's when the business comes to you, right? And so they say that it's something like 7 to 10 times that somebody has to see your picture or your face or your branding, your marketing, your logo, what have you, in order for you to make an impact on them, for you to make an impression on them. And I would say all of your marketing and branding and advertising, all of the things that you do needs to be consistent across the board, right? If you have gotten someone to do a logo for you, then have that logo on every single piece of marketing material that you do, have it on your Facebook cover page, have it everywhere, have it in your email signature. When you have branding and marketing and things like that, make sure that it's consistent across the board, right? Your stationery matches your business card, which matches your Facebook, which matches your marketing, which matches your signage, which matches your for sale signs, your open house signs, et cetera, right? All of those things consistent across the board builds the brand of you. Beautiful thing about Keller Williams is we help you build the brand of you with our marketing and advertising tools, and we incentivize you to build the brand of you rather than some of the other brokerages in the marketplace who build the brand of the brokerage, and you get a little sign rider on the bottom of the sign, right? We would encourage you to build a brand as long as you stay within the guidelines of the Florida Real Estate Commission, right? And so your branding and your logo have to be equal size to the Keller Williams logo, and that has to be on everything that you do, right? Okay, so we're building the brand of you. The other thing that listings gives you is listings gives you about a 3-to-1 ratio. And so you should expect that for every listing that you have, you should be able to procure 2 buyers off of that listing. And so every time you take a listing, expect to sell that listing and expect to get 2 buyers off of your advertising, your marketing, your signage, etc., that you also put under contract. And so if you're working with buyers and you do 10 transactions a year, just by changing over to listings only and having 10 listings, you'll increase your business to 30 deals a year. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, everybody cool? All right, so 10x your business. So, 10x your business is really my kind of mantra or my mindset about how you operate your business. And whenever I looked at something, I always want to look at how can I 10x that? How can I better that? How can I make that serve me more? And so whenever I would put money into marketing and advertising, did I get 10 times my return on my investment, right? If I donated $1 to a charity, did I get $10 worth of exposure? If I bought a piece of marketing and it cost me $100 to do that piece of marketing, would I get $1,000 return or $10,000 return? What was my return? And if I didn't get the return on investment that I wanted, in my world, if I didn't get a 10x return, then I didn't do it again. And I give you a perfect example for that. A buddy of mine who sells real estate in St. Johns County up near Jacksonville, his outside the box way to get leads was to go into Wendy's and buy Frosties. And so he'd go into Wendy's and he'd buy Frosties for everybody that was in the dining room, right? The Frosties are $1. Let's say there's 17, 18 people in there, right? He would just go up to them and say, here's a cool treat on a hot day from your local realtor, and tell him his name. $19, he did it every single Saturday. So over the course of a month, he's spending maybe $80. He closed a deal every other month just on his Wendy's leads. And so $5,000 every other month just on his Wendy's leads. Now he did it religiously. He did it all the time. And different times of the day, coming back from his kid's soccer game, he'd just stop into Wendy's, right? Didn't take him but 5 minutes. Boom, right? That's marketing stuff that works, right? That's marketing stuff that you can 10x, right? If you're buying Zillow leads and you're paying $5,000 a month for Zillow leads, you're not going to 10x that, right? So that was my way of doing business, right? Here's the other way that I like to look at listings. Let's pretend that today is October 1st, right? What happens at the end of the month?
Halloween.
Halloween, right? Would you rather on October 1st, would you rather own a fireworks store or would you rather own a costume shop?
Yeah.
You'd rather have a costume shop, right? And so when you are working with buyers exclusively, you are at the mercy of whatever inventory is in the market. When you have control over the listing inventory, then you're the store that people have to come to buy the products that they need, right? And so you kind of set the market by having 10 listings, 15 listings, 20 listings, whatever the case may be, whatever you can go get for yourself and whatever you can handle with your business. And I will tell you that if you get to a point in your listing business where you can't possibly take on another listing, then hire somebody to do your admin stuff and go get more listings.
And that's another class.
And that's another class. And we'll talk about that too. right? Okay, so every single class that I do, every single time you see me, you will see this slide no matter what class I'm doing, right? As a real estate agent, we all need to realize what business we're really in, right? We are in the business of lead generation. First and foremost, you are in the business of lead generation. And then your secondary job after that is the business of lead conversion. And then and only then can you do the business of real estate, which is all of those other things. Listing property, marketing property, showing property, negotiating contracts, right? Closing transactions, doing the paperwork and managing the money. But you can't do any of those things until you generate leads and then convert those leads into ready, willing, and able buyers or sellers. And so I will always tell you as we talk, if you don't have enough business, you have one of two problems. If you don't have enough business, you have one of two problems. You either have a lead generation problem or a lead conversion problem. And if you don't have enough leads to convert, then we need to work on some lead generation tactics to get you more leads. If you've got tons of leads coming in, but you're not converting them over into business, then you've got a scripts problem. And we need to talk about scripts, and we need to talk about how you can dial in your language of sales in order to become a more competent sales professional, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Everybody with me so far, right?
Drinking a Kool-Aid over here, Mike.
You know what? You are in the business at 80% of the folks in real estate that do not renew their license when it's time to renew their license, and they find somewhere else to go and something else to do. The problem is because they didn't concentrate on the efforts needed to generate leads and convert those leads, right? And that's the key to this business. It's as simple as that. And there is nothing that you will ever hear in your real estate career that is more important than generate enough leads, get really good at converting those leads, and then worry about all of the other stuff, right? So track everything. Track every single lead that you get. Track your conversion rate on the leads that you do get so that you can say, okay, well, it's taking me 1 out of 10 people to get a lead that converts to business, or it's taking me 1 out of 20 people to convert to a lead that's going to bring me business. And that way you know what your number is, right? And so if you know that you need to sit down at somebody's kitchen table every single week in order to get a piece of business, and it takes you 50 people to sit down at one table, well, then you need 50 leads a week, right? But do that math and figure out that math, right? And on some leads, it may be that. On some leads, it may be 1 out of 10.
Yeah, the math that equals that $300,000 listing that you're gonna get both sides on at 6% is gonna give you a paycheck for $18,000.
Absolutely. But you got to do 16 of those to live the life you want to live. So if you see what I'm saying,
Yeah.
I mean, start where you want to start. Start with, here's my financial goal, right? And subtract out how many transactions divided by equals how many meetings I need to go on per week. Divide that by how many people you got to talk to get there, right? However the math works for you, right? I tell new agents coming into the business, if you can close 16 transactions your first year in business, you make $100,000, right? If that's your goal, right, then extrapolate that back out. How many people do I need to talk to, right? If I sit down at one kitchen table every single week, I only convert half of those, that's still 2 deals per month. If 80% of those close, then there's 16 to 18 transactions, right?
Yes.
Follower, yeah, cool. And that's another class too. And as you start getting into your Ignite classes and things like that, you will see that we kind of break down the sales process, we break down the buyer process, we break down the lead generation process, the lead conversion process, so that you can begin to build your business your way, right? And everybody is going to do it differently, right? Some of the strategies that folks use, right? It could be, and there's 8 here. There's 100 different strategies on where to generate leads from, right? And so, wow, it is pouring out there. Oh my goodness, right? And so we'll talk about some of these in detail, but expired listings. There are some folks who go crazy for expired listings and do that, right? I would say pick 3 to 5 things that you know, even 3 things that you know you're going to do consistently, that you will do consistently, and concentrate on those. Don't try to do everything. Don't try to do every single lead generation tactic that you hear. Don't try to do it, right? Because you won't be successful. You'll be so watered down, right? And you'll get so frustrated because you'll be throwing stuff in there that you don't like, that you don't want to do. I will never be a door knocker, right? And so it's just not going to be something that I'm going to do.
Yeah, there's a lot more people you don't know than people you know.
Well, it's true. And I will tell you that statistically, 70% of your business is going to come from people who already know you, love you, trust you, and respect you, right? The Southside office has been tracking it for the last 5 years, and it has never gone below 70%. All of the transactions in the office, when they follow it back to where did that lead came from, it came from your sphere of influence. People who know you, people who love you, or people that you've done business with in the past that either use you again or refer new business to you. 70% of your business.
I wish that neighborhood was up here,
It's not a neighborhood, it's people you know.
the South Beaches there.
Yeah, but your sphere is people that you know,
No,
right? And so it's your brother, it's your cousin, it's your uncle, it's whatever. Having a conversation with them, reminding them that you're in real estate, right? And asking for the business. Right? Circle prospecting, online, open houses, farming, FSBOs, door knocking, and past buyers, right? I can track 11 transactions from one family that I sold a house to at the beginning of my career, because every time they had a real estate need, they used me. If somebody was moving to town, if they needed to sell one house to buy another, they used me, right? And so by staying top of mind, by staying in relationship with these people, they continued to use me over and over again, right? So let's talk about circle prospecting, right? We've already kind of been, it really and truly is the lifeblood of your career, right? And I had a lot of limiting beliefs about that when I first started. I did not want to bother my brother and call my brother and go, hey man, who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the next 6 months? Who do you know at work? Who do you know at church? I didn't want to be used car salesy. I didn't want to do that or be that, right? But what I found was just through the normal process of having a conversation with everybody that I know, it eventually came around to real estate. And so I didn't have to, even though my first broker said, call them up and ask them if they know somebody. That script that I just said to you was a script that was given to me on my first day in real estate by my first broker. And he said, take out your Rolodex, right? Y'all remember Rolodexes? Right. He said, take out your Rolodex and start at A and call every single person that you know. And your script is, hi, this is Mike Williams. I just started with XYZ Real Estate Company. And how have you been? Great. Good to hear. Who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate in the next 6 months? And I was like, I ain't doing it. There's no way. Because my brother would hang up the phone on me and drive over to my house and beat the snot out of me, right? So I ain't doing it. But what I found that I could do is I found that I could be in relationship with people. And over the course of a conversation, call my brother up. I use the same guy. I call my brother up. I say, hey, Mark, how you been, man? Haven't talked to you in like 2 weeks. He'd be like, hey, I'm doing great, man. How are you? What's new? And I would say, oh, man, you know, wife and I are doing great. Getting ready to take a vacation this year. We're thinking about going to Salt Lake City. What are you guys going to do? Oh, we're going to go here, there. We've got a trip planned to Italy. Awesome, man. How's your job, dude? Oh, my job's great, man. I just got promoted to whatever. How's your job going? Oh, dude, let me tell you, my goal is to help 5 families this month. And, you know, I'm hoping to help 5 families, you know, either list their house or buy the American dream. And he'd be like, how many you got so far? Well, I've got 2. Well, you need 3 then, don't you? Yes, sir, I do. I'm gonna look around at work and see if I know somebody that's looking to that has a real estate need, or I don't remember what he said, right? And so it's the same conversation, but it's a conversation instead of me begging for business. Does that make sense? Right? Every single person that you meet is an opportunity for a real estate conversation.
I'm sure that would have worked well if you would have been started your own plumbing company. Hey, Tom, started one. Oh, hey, man, so cool. Hey, I got a special going this week. It's the same thing.
It's the same thing, right? It's just being open to having a conversation with somebody, right? And not jamming it down their throat, right? I never was successful jamming stuff down people's throat, but it always found its way into the conversation because these people love you and they want to help you and they want to see your business grow, right? My lawn guy, I'm in a relationship with my lawn guy. My lawn guy.
Does your wife know about this one, Mike?
Yeah, she does. Yeah, it's a thing. My lawn guy gives me 5 pieces of business every single year, right? To this day, my lawn guy still gives me business because I trained him that way. Whenever somebody would ask me, who do you know that's real good with lawns, I'd give them Tommy, right? After about 3 or 4 months of doing that, I said, Tommy, how many pieces of business have I given you? He said, you've given me a lot. I owe you a beer. I said, no, but you know, when somebody calls you up and says, Tommy, come mulch my house, trim my bushes because I'm getting ready to put my house on the market. Tommy immediately says, do you already have a realtor? Because if you don't, my buddy Mike Williams is awesome, right? My financial advisor does the same thing. My CPA does the same thing. When I had hair, the guy who cut my hair did the same thing, right? My barber always had a stack of my business cards behind his desk. For the ladies on Zoom, right? If you've got a hairdresser that you've been going to for the last 10 years, they need a stack of your business cards and they need to be talking about that. My dry cleaner, I give my dry cleaner business every single week. It may only be $10 or $15, but I give him money every single week. It's not out of the scope of possibility for me to say, hey man, you know anybody that's got a real estate need? I've been coming here 3 years, religiously bringing my laundry every week for 3 years. You know anybody that has a real estate need? Right? It's conversation. Yeah, let's go here. All right. So expired listings. There are people who do expired listings almost exclusively, right, as one of their 3 things that they consistently do every single day. They look at the expired listings, they look at the hot sheet every day, and they call expired listings. This person has proven that they want to sell. They just were unsuccessful selling with their previous agent. Even in this market that we have now, where the market is so hot that as soon as you put something on the market, it's sold already, Well, what about the ones that aren't? Because these people know houses are flying off the shelves, and if theirs isn't, then there's an issue there, right? And they will tell you for half an hour. Once you get past all the drama, you'll figure out why. But they will tell you for 20 minutes, my agent's horrible, my agent doesn't know how to do his business, whatever, whatever. And once you get done listening to all that, just set an appointment. Just set an appointment to get over to the house. And when you get to the house, you'll figure out that the house was overpriced. And now they might be ready to go at a real price that you can sell it. And maybe that's your business plan. Maybe that's something that you know you can do, and you know that that it'll work for you. But the two things to get is that they have proven that they want to sell their house, right? All you have to do is set the appointment. Most people are going to only interview one real estate agent. And if you're the real estate agent that gets in the door, it's not your job to sell them over the telephone. It's your job to sell them once you get to the house. FSBOs, right? Everybody hates FSBOs, and everybody thinks that FSBOs hate us. They don't. They hate paying the real estate commission, but they don't hate you, the realtor. Most of them don't hate you, the realtor, right? They just don't want to pay that commission. And so if you can figure out, what it is that, and here's the other thing, they think that realtors don't do anything. You guys don't do anything. All you do is drive around in your fancy cars, wear your nice clothes, and make a big fat commission check, and you don't do anything. Well, I have got 183 different things that a realtor does.
Only 183, Mike?
Only 183, right? And so for y'all on the Zoom, send me an email, mike.williams@kw.com, and I'll send these out to you, right? And so you don't have to read through all 183 right now, and I certainly am not going to. But what I will tell you is that for the FSBOs that say you realtors don't do anything, I pull that out and I say, here's 183 things that I'm going to do for you during the course of the time that we work together. May change their perception a little bit, may change their mindset a little bit. So here's a story for you. So an agent that I worked with years ago, she was in my St. John's office right off of 210. Her first 6 months in real estate, she listed 11 houses. And they were all FSBOs. And I said, Bobby Jean, I said, how in the heck did you do that? And Bobby Jean was from New York, lived in New Jersey, what have you, right? And was a go-getter. And I said, Bobby Jean, how did you get that business? 11 listings in her first 6 months in the business. I know agents that have been in the business 2-3 years that don't get 11 listings a year, right? 11 in her first 6 months. I said, Bobby Jean, how'd you do it? She said, I walk up to the house and I knock on the door and I say, hey, how much do you want for your house? And they throw out a number. She says, I don't even care what that number is. And she says, if I can get you that number and get my commission, will you list your house with me today?
Yes, they said.
And yeah, they said yes. They said, all I care about is my number.
She said that 11 times.
Right? She probably said it 50 and got 11.
Right.
And I said, Bobby Jean, I said, but not all 11 of those houses were sellable. And she said, Mike, you're absolutely right. But now that we're under contract, right, and we're not getting any activity, I go back and I have a real conversation with them about where they're priced. I get a price reduction. We put it to somewhere where I know it's going to sell and it's a number that they can be happy with, and we sell the house. She sold 9 out of the 11 first 6 months in the business. So the moral of that story, the point of the story is, don't be afraid to go get the business, because if you ask enough times, they'll give it to you. And she figured out an angle that worked, and it worked for her. It worked for her really, really well, right? Not everybody is going to be comfortable going up and banging on somebody's front door. She was, so she got the business. I have talked to agents who go about FSBOs a completely different way. They go about FSBOs with bringing them something of value. Hey, let me bring you this. Hey, let me bring you a comparative market analysis, what have you, right? Door knocking and open houses. We typically think of open houses as a way to get buyer leads, right? We think about open houses as everybody who walks through the door is going to be a potential buyer. And yes, that's absolutely correct. But if you'll take an hour or two before your open house and go walk the neighborhood a little bit and talk to the neighbors, I always came from contribution. I always would walk up to the house and say, hey, I just want you to know I'm holding an open house down the street. There's going to be traffic in your neighborhood that doesn't know your subdivision. If you have young children, I just want to make sure you are aware. And I would be ready to walk away at that point, but they would stop me and say, what's the house? How much is it? Can I get in and see it? Because every time somebody puts their house up for sale in the neighborhood, there's 2 houses that will go up for sale within the next 60 days. And so if you're in a relationship with those folks, if you're the one holding the open house, you've walked down there, you care enough about him and his children, right, that you're willing to knock on the door and let them know that. And especially if you invite them in for a special neighborhood after hours open house, everybody wants to see what their neighbor's house looks like, right? Yep. Or if they start asking you a lot of leading questions, well, how much is it? Have they done any remodeling? Have they whatever? Those folks, that's the language of sales, right? Those folks are thinking about selling. And so you can always offer them a comparative market analysis, what have you. I got more business, I got more listings from doing open houses. My 3rd year in the business, I got more listings from doing open houses than I got buyer sales from doing open houses, right? Because I started working it differently. Social media and online leads, right? So know with social media that you've got a long lead time there. If you are buying leads or using social media in any way, you may have a 12 to 18 month lead time, because these folks start getting into the looking for property very, very early. And so that's why I tell you the realtor.com, the Zillow, those things, those leads may take 12 to 18 months, and it's a very, very low conversion rate.
And then people sometimes don't give the right information. Their Gmail address is all of a sudden hateme@gmail.com or
Absolutely.
123. The phone number doesn't go to 867-5309.
And that's why I would more prefer that everybody just build their business relationship way, right? By doing open houses, by meeting people, by talking to your sphere of influence. If you're going to do social media, right? If you're going to do social media, do it very kind of proactively and have a thought process behind doing social media. Don't blast social media with, hey, I just got a new listing. Hey, I just did an open house. Hey, I just reduced the price on this house. Because your people will leave you in a heartbeat, right? But I would say do a low battery. Yeah. Your people will leave you in a heartbeat. But what I would say do is on your social media, do stuff like if you're at an awesome $1 million house, is if you pan the view of the property. Look at this awesome house that I'm at today, right? Or look at this view. Or I did a video of this awesome closet in this $3 million house. This closet was unbelievable. And my wife, who is a shoe fanatic, there was a rack of Louboutin shoes and Jimmy Choos and all those other brands that was in a glass case. You had to open a glass door to get to the Louboutins. And so I videotaped that closet and I said, look at this unbelievable shoe rack. Who do you know that would love a shoe rack like that? And I put it on my Facebook. So who do you think responded? One, all of my friends who said, your wife, Linda, and all of my wife's friends who said, oh my God, Linda needs that closet, right? I'm engaging people about real estate without asking for business and without pimping out an open house or a price reduction or a new listing, right? You see the difference? There was so much more engagement by doing it that way. Farming, when it comes to doing farming, there's two different kinds of farms. There's a geographic farm and there's a demographic farm. A geographic farm is a neighborhood that you have picked out that has some churn that you're going to market to. A demographic farm is something that you're involved in. Like I ride a Harley Davidson motorcycle. I'm very involved in my local Harley group, right? Those people know me. And so even when I go on a motorcycle ride, I wear a t-shirt that says Mike Williams Realtor, right? It's got my logo on it, on the back of the shirt. And so there is no missing the fact that I'm a realtor. And so these are my people. Harley people are very, very loyal. Police, firefighter, any first responder, very, very loyal. I heard you were a firefighter, very loyal to your people, right? If you were not in real estate and you needed a realtor, wouldn't you look for somebody who used to be a firefighter or a first responder?
Absolutely.
That'd probably be your thing, right? Harley people, same way. Military people, same way. Police, same way, right? If you're in a quilting club, right? Those people are going to want to do business with somebody who they have something in common with. People like to do business with people that they have things in common with, that they have a bond with. And so a demographic farm is a lot more successful than a geographic farm, right? So I gave you a whole bunch of different strategies to try and find leads, right? And, step 2 of that is converting those leads to ready, willing, and able business. And we'll do a lot of that in the Ignite program. But what I wanted to touch on with y'all is during that lead conversion program, you need to have a knockout listing presentation. You need to have a really slam bang, awesome listing presentation that really touts you as the agent, your company that you work for, and statistically talks about the neighborhood, right? And so here's the 3 most important things, right? So the number 1 most important thing for you to get across in a listing presentation is what are your statistics or the statistics of your office. And so I always used the statistics of the office that I worked for prior to getting my own. And so I would say our office typically sells homes in 48 days on market, and the industry average is 68. Our office typically sells for 98% of list price, and the industry average is 94%, right? When I got to a point where I had my own statistics, I would spit out my own statistics. My listings sell on average 11 days faster than our board average or than our average realtor, right? It lets them know that you are a subject matter expert, that you are a professional at your craft, right? The second thing that you need to make sure that you address in your marketing, in your listing presentation is, what are you gonna do that's different than everybody else? I've seen way too many agents go in and say, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to put your house on the MLS, and that will spider out to 400 different websites, including Trulia, Zillow, and Realtor.com. Right? And when I'm coaching agents and they say that in their listing presentation, I say, stop right there. Everybody does that. And so if they're interviewing 3 or 4 different agents, right? How is that any different? It's not, right? It's the same. You can go to Applebee's or Chili's or TGI Fridays and get the same exact cheeseburger. There's nothing that sets any one of those apart. What are you going to do differently? What is different that you do, right? And so I would capitalize on that. And it's going to be different for each person, right? How you do it is going to be different from each person. And it's also going to be different for the property, right? If you're listing $1 million beach house, then you may be targeting people who are in Detroit that are under 3 feet of snow, right? Or you may target somebody who's moving. Right now, people are moving from New York, Chicago, and Washington, D.C. Those are the 3 main areas that people are moving from right now. And they're used to paying $100,000 more for the same property that you're going to list right now. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,400 square foot is about $500,000 in Chicago. Right? And so what are you going to do to entice those folks coming here other than price? Because there's 50 of them. What are you going to do differently? How are you going to market? How are you going to advertise? Right? What are you going to do different? Right? And I would say only start talking about price once they've signed off on you. And so your listing presentation is all about you, your company, your marketing, and all the things that you can do, right, differently than what another agent will do. And then and only then, when they've bought off on there, can you talk about price or commission. I wouldn't even have that conversation with them, right? A lot of sellers are going to want to have that conversation early because they've been thinking about it all afternoon. Right? You're supposed to be there at 6 o'clock for your listing presentation. They've been thinking about it since they hung up the phone with you to set the appointment. I wonder what his commission is. I wonder if we can get him down on his commission. I wonder. And my script for that is, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, if we can come together on all other aspects of this decision, if you've determined that I'm the guy for you, you like my statistics, you like the marketing that I've shown you that I'm going to do for your home, if everything else is a go, barring the price conversation or barring the commission conversation, would you sign up with me right now? Right? And when they say yes, then say, great. Now let's talk about price, right? Get a commitment from them that everything is it's your job to lose at this point. All you gotta do is talk price and commission, right? And when you're talking about commission, make sure that you can articulate your value proposition. Here are 183 things that I'm going to do through the process for you. Typical and standard commission in this area is 6%. Ed Savard right down the street starts it at 7%. Right? Because he's earned it. He's been in the business 40 years. He doesn't go into the house expecting to take a 6% commission. He certainly doesn't expect to take 5. He expects to take 7. Right? and he is ready, willing, and able to articulate what his value proposition is. This is why I'm worth 7%. These are the things I'm going to do to get 7%, 6%, whatever the case may be. So be ready to articulate that, have some good scripts right behind you know, any objections that you get to your commission argument. And then move on into the price conversation, and the price for the home. And what's important to remember is you have, I hope, done, by the time you get to the house, you have done just an absolutely bang up job researching the neighborhood, researching the home, researching everything that could possibly go on with that home. And so you've got a pretty good range of where this home should be listed. What you don't know is what's inside the house, right? Which is the problem that Zillow has. Zillow has never been inside that house. They don't know, right? So you'll have a range of acceptability of where this house should be marketed. By the time you walk through the door, you'll be able to fine tune that range. Either it's going to be at the top end of your range because it's been remodeled, it looks fantastic, it's beautiful, or it's going to be at the low end of the range because it smells like cigarette smoke, or there's, you know, cat box hadn't been cleaned in a week, or there's holes in the carpet, or what have you, right? There's really only 3 or 4 reasons why homes do not sell. Either bad location, bad condition, or bad price. And the 4th one is bad marketing, which really doesn't even exist anymore, right? And so it's either bad location, bad condition, or bad price. And you can fix the other 2 by fixing the price. You have to believe your own CMA, right? If you do a comparative market analysis on the house and you do a fantastic job with it and you are confident with it, you've got to believe it. And you've got to be willing to sell it. And when they have objections about, yes, but the guy down the street sold for more, yes, but he had a larger house, yes, but he had more upgrades, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but, right? So that you can fight for the price where you know that a house is going to sell. Because you're not in the business of listing property, you're in the business of selling property, right? And yes, I know that we are in a market now where almost everything that you put on the market is going to sell regardless of price and condition, but that won't last forever, right? And having the skills to be able to have the conversation and know that an overpriced home will sit and not sell doesn't do anybody any good. You could be busy and not productive. So you want to have houses that sell, right? Have I ever taken an overpriced listing? Yeah, I have. But if I've taken an overpriced listing, I take it with the expectation that we're going to try it that way, and then we are going to incrementally work it down to the price that I know the house is going to sell very, very quickly.
Well, because you can always come down, but you can't
go up, right? And the most amount of activity is going to occur within the first 30 days on market. And so if I don't get them from their inflated price to a realistic price within that 30 days, then I can expect to be on market longer. And houses that stay on market with incremental price reductions sell for less money and take longer time than a house that was priced correctly from the beginning. And so during your listing presentation, when you're asking so many questions, what's more important to you, time or money? Do you have 3 months that we can test the market, or do you need to be out of this house in 60 days because you've been transferred to Dallas? Well, if you've been transferred to Dallas, then we need to price competitive. Looking at our comparative market analysis, we need to be slightly below all of the active properties and still slightly above the sold properties so that we're competitive in the market, but we're competitive what's active right now, right? Having those conversations, being able to have those conversations with your seller is going to be the key to getting you more listings, right? Being able to be honest and upfront. I used to start conversations with sellers with, do you want me to be honest or do you want me to blow smoke? Right? do you want to sell your house or do you want me to tell you how beautiful it is? Right? Are you prepared to have this house stop being your home and become a house that you need to sell so that you can get the most return on your investment? Well, I want the best return on my investment. Yes, then it stops becoming your home and you stop becoming emotionally attached to it and you listen to what I'm here to tell you, right? Rationally and logically instead of from a place of emotion. Because when you come at it from a place of emotion, we can't have a conversation about getting you the best return on investment. We can only have a conversation about how beautiful, you know, the chandelier is and, right? Awesome. So we are coming about down to the end of our time, right? I will tell you in closing that communication is the key to your success in real estate, right? Being able to communicate with the buyers and sellers that you work with over the course of your career, and also communicating with the realtors that you share transactions with, is really going to be what makes or breaks your career once you get past that lead generation, lead conversion part of it. Because I will tell you, people will remember that you communicated with them every week while you had their listing, regardless of whether there was anything to talk about or not. You picked up the phone every Friday at 3:30 and you called them, even if you had nothing to say, because it was Friday at 3:30 that you were going to call, right? There's always something to say. You may not have new information, but hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's Friday at 3:30. I promised you I'd call you every Friday at 3:30, so I'm calling you Friday at 3:30. I don't have anything else to tell you, but I wanted to make sure that I honored our commitment. Right? And then beyond that, they'll keep it going. Well, what happened down the street? Is there any new listings in our neighborhood? And you'll be prepared with all of that information if you have it, right? You'll be able to say, hey, I'm calling you to let you know that a house just came on the market right down the street from you. They're priced a little bit below you. They're the same square footage. They're the same layout. They're $5,000 cheaper. Would you like to go into the weekend with a price reduction so that we're competitive? Because everybody coming into the neighborhood is going to look at both and they're going to see that they're 5,000 cheaper, right? Those are the conversations that you have every single week with your sellers, right? So communicate with your sellers, communicate with your buyers, and please communicate with the other agents that you share transactions with, right? Call them, talk to them, have conversations. During some things can be done by text. I prefer to pick up the phone and make a phone call, right? Hey, where are we on this? Where are we on that? Right? It builds relationship and it builds rapport. Because in this business, if you do 5 deals with somebody, you'll do 100 deals with them, right? Developing that relationship. I see in my scope of normal day, I see deals fall apart all the time because agents don't talk to each other. They didn't have a conversation, and so the deal fell apart. When you are in a relationship with another agent, then you can work together to hold a deal together. And sometimes that's the straw that holds it together. So that's all I've got. Happy to take as many questions as y'all want. Any questions over there in Zoom land?
Sorry, I couldn't find the right button.
I don't know where to look.
Oh, yeah, it's, hi there.
Hey, Mike, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Any questions for me?
No, I don't think so. No, I think I'm okay right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna hand out some cards to the folks that are here in the room, but for you, I gave my email out earlier. It's mike.williams@kw.com. My cell phone number is 904-708-0557.
And we can like your Facebook page?
You can like the Facebook, my business page.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I have a Facebook business page. Feel free to like that. If you want. But call me anytime. I'm happy to help out wherever I can.
Perfect.
Okay. Guys, questions? Any questions here?
You can just repeat the number.
Yeah, I'll give you
Oh,
one
you're
of my
gonna go,
cards.
never mind.
Yeah.
Easier.
So what's the worst thing you've had happen recently in real estate? Anything, Mike? What's
The
going on with you?
worst thing that I've had.
Or the funniest thing, one of those things that, hey, you'll never guess what happened today.
Oh, wow. Okay, so, recently, I tell you two then. So recently, we had a, buyer and seller that were fighting over $1,000 binder deposit.
Why?
The deal fell apart.
Over.
The buyer was not in default. The buyer had done everything perfectly per the contract, had determined, based on the home inspection, that they did not want to move forward. The way that the contract up in Jacksonville is written, two main contracts in the state of Florida, right? 173,000 realtors in the state of Florida, 160,000 of them use the FAR contract, 10,000 of them use the NEFAR contract, which is up in Jacksonville,
Okay.
right?
Right.
The way that the Jacksonville contract is written is buyer may, at buyer's sole discretion, terminate the contract within the first 10 days for any reason,
Okay.
right? So buyer gets a home inspection, buyer terminates the contract on day 9, right?
Right.
Without negotiating repairs, because that's option 2, right?
Right.
Buyer may terminate, buyer sole discretion, or buyer may request repairs from the seller. Well, this buyer didn't want to do that.
Okay.
They said, I'm terminating the contract. Seller says, I'm placing demands on the binder. And I want it. Well, buyer said, this is my money. And seller says, I don't care. I want it. I've been off market for 9 days. And in this market, homes are going under contract, multiple offers, hours of being put on the market. This guy's off 9 days.
Yeah.
He wanted that $1,000. I said, here's what's gonna happen. I said, you feel wronged, and I get that. Buyer has followed the contract to the letter of the law, letter of the contract, perfectly. If this were to go to a court of law, they would find in favor of the buyer.
Okay. Perfect.
Right? Because it's being held by a title company, it doesn't get that. It's being held by a title company. You have 2 options. You can either sign a release executed by both parties, buyer and seller, releasing that money to someone, and the title company will release it. Or it goes immediately to mediation,
Oh,
right?
man. Yeah.
And so I know the guy who does the mediation. His name is Jeff Marks. He's the board attorney for Northeast Florida. And I said, so here's what's going to happen. I said, you can give all the money to the buyer because he deserves it. Or y'all can agree to some kind of a split. You get half, they get half. You get $500, they get $500, whatever. Right? Personally, I think you need to give it to the buyer, but whatever you guys agree to. If you both agree to split it, let's say you split it evenly, $500, you can get that money today. And so you can get a check for $500 today, they can get a check for $500 today. If I have to push this to mediation, they're going to chew up 80% of that money. And then I know the guy. He's gonna make you split it. And it'll take 6 months to get on his calendar and get it done. And so you can either get $500 today or get $100 6 months from now. What do you want to do? Guy says, I don't care, I'm not doing anything.
Okay.
I said, okay. So when I called the buyer and I explained that to the buyer and I said, this is what's going on. They said, wow, that sucks. Cause we could really use that $1,000. And how long do these things usually take? And I said, unfortunately, until somebody goes to mediation or until somebody agrees to release, both parties agree to release, that money will sit in escrow. And my buddy Dave Heekin owns Landmark Title.
Yeah,
He's got binder deposits that he's been holding on to for 6 years for deals that fell apart 6 years ago. Collecting dust. He's got to keep putting them on his books every single month because you have to do an escrow reconciliation for Florida real estate every month. He's been doing that for 6 years. $1,000. So that's my story.
ouch.
Yeah.
My buddy lost one the other day. He's working with a single woman. Her husband passed away. She has some money. Her 2 kids are still in the picture. And she's just strong, but she's got the money to put down on the house to buy the place. And she was going through this company. I forget who it was, some brand name company that's online. And they got all the way down towards the very end, and she's already at her wit's end with buying this place, the inspection. She felt everybody had to hand out to collect money. So apparently she had co-signed a loan for her son's car, and the lender wanted to put that loan in with